sandwich. You order one sandwich. Bodega BYTES. How much is that? Bodega. Is that 20? Bodega BYTES. Yo, you gon' dig this. In this episode 4 of Bodega BYTES podcast, Tekashi69 gets put in a trash can. Alex shoots some styrofoam thingies. And Derek wants to throw some papers.
Some papers, just some blank papers.
Yo, what's up? Welcome back. This is Bodega BYTES. We back at you.
What up, Joe? What's going on, everybody?
This is Mr. DOS1.
It's your boy Derek. What's good?
Yo, we back. Yo, give me a...
It's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure. It's been a minute. Good. Lockdown has been real, Sean. Let me tell you.
Was that a real handshake? That was a grip. Anyway, to you motherfuckers out there, real daps, pounds, piss, whatever.
Facts.
But yo, we're gonna talk. We talk about everything hip hop that's related, everything that we're interested in within the community, within the culture.
Pushing the culture forward, man. That's all it's about.
That's what we gotta do.
Having the conversations that everybody wants to talk about, and then the ones that actually make us better human beings. So.
Right.
Yeah.
The truth.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could find us online. We're gonna be at Bodega BYTES. Also on YouTube, it's gonna be under dasonecollective. Hopefully soon. Yeah, Spotify is gonna have the new podcast section coming up.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
For users and for paid users.
September, yeah.
So I think the way that we're recording, hopefully we could eventually get there. That would be fucking
awesome. Man. That would be incredible.
That would be good, man.
A Spotify bag for sure.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Let's give the sandwich. We're gonna call this breakdown. You know, I'm not gonna explain it every time, but the sandwich of this whole podcast, definitely talking about technology, how the evolution of hip hop, how it's evolved through technology, how it's changed the sound, how it's changed the industry, how it's changed the artist, everything kind of involved, whatever we kind of just come up with. And
100%. Yeah. No, I'm all about to have the conversation. But first things first, I feel like we got to kind of address, you know, everything that's been going on in the world. There's a lot that's been going on. And we kind of took a pause on our third episode until now, just because I feel like a lot of people are pushing content to stay relevant. And I think it's at a time where, you know, you maybe need to fall back and listen a little bit because, like, you know, Dave Chappelle said it the best, right? The streets are screaming right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I kind of felt it would be a little bit disingenuous if we continue in these unprecedented times. So, you know, we with all due respect to George Floyd and, you know, Rashad Brooks and everything that's been going on all across the country and around the world, you know, we just had to pay our respects to what's going on and just kind of take heed to that and take it all in. And we wanted to bring you quality content at a time where, you know, we felt it was right. So, you know, we're back and we're, you know, doing that thing, 100%, you know.
Break it down, the sandwich or whatever, bro.
Yeah, so let's break down the sandwich.
Let's talk about it.
So, yeah, we thinking technology, man. I mean, how it's changed hip-hop. I think hip-hop started... Well, I mean, what? They first made the phonograph in the late 1800s?
Something like that. Yeah,
1870
100%. Then we started freaking it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You know, we didn't have instruments in the crib, so you got a turntable and a mixer. You know, you got yourself an instrument right there.
Oh, shit, yeah.
You know, so...
Because, you think about, that was the 1970s, kind of the birth of the hip-hop coming out.
Totally flipping break beats, you know what I mean? Like, what are some of the early records that come to mind when you think about that, right?
But when I think the Furious Five, the Grandmaster Flash,
right,
Cool Herc,
totally, 100%.
Even a little bit later, but like the Sugar Hill Gang,
yeah,
you got, totally. You know, fucking even. I mean, I think this was '90s. Was
okay?
Digital Underground.
That's okay. Yeah, I fuck with Digital Underground heavy. I mean, I always go back to Clyde Stubblefield and Funky Drummer.
Oh shit!
You know what I'm saying? Like
that was the break, though.
Yeah, 100%.
That was the break.
That to me is still like the epitome of like, you know, what boom bap is and kind of where it like
that's the whole like
yeah, you know.
Yeah.
What else we got?
I mean, it's amazing that you think about it. I think there's just so much, and a lot of that time was you coming out of the Bronx, you got like
it's debatable though. You talk to some people in Queens, they're like, yo, like you talk to some people in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? So but I think as a collective though, I think as like a community, right? I think they decided to give it to the Bronx. You know what I mean? There's like a hip hop day sometime in August when like the back to school party is supposed to happen, whatever.
Right.
But that's not like the day it
official,
happened. Yeah, but it's just like to kind of give it like a date. They kind of figured they would do it around then. What else we got?
I think it's just, bro, you got everything that's coming from that. So you got graffiti artists, you've got
talk about
you got
it.
MCs,
Talk to 'em.
you got the DJs, you know, and that's kind of in the rise. I thought it was good. You got MCs coming up and,
Right.
and kind of like being like, okay, I don't always have to be the master of ceremonies per se.
Right.
I could just jumble some words together, whether they're funny or not, at a house party.
Right.
If they rhyme, that's good. I could do some Dr. Seuss shit on my fucking, while my DJ's playing the song, got my boys just jamming out to the breaks.
Right.
So like you was talking about earlier, is like with the revolution and the technology of music at that time, the phonograph being around for I guess 100 years at that point, you got these DJs who found a way with technology to manipulate those records, those LP vinyls that their parents would have or their grandparents had, and being able to take certain sections of songs, which in hip hop you would call breaks, and then be able to make a full beat out of it and have two turntables and maybe loop it, and then be able to manipulate it and make some scratching sounds and like whatever.
What the whole world wants to know exactly, what is break mixing? Well, what I'm about to do is to demonstrate to you, as the creator of the break mix, what a break mix is broken down into terms. And it goes something like this. First of all,
one thing too that kind of, because you know, I came up in the 90s, and one thing that I saw was just having your custom sound system. You know what I mean? That you could just shake the block with. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably one of the reasons why I love music the way I do, because I grew up in a house that had, at one point, speakers that were like 4.5 feet tall. You know what I mean?
Oh, shit.
Just like now, you can get the same, like, you get a pair of Yamahas. It got the same amount of punch, but it was all about who had the biggest system. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, you know, is mine louder than yours? You know what I mean? And who's got the better crew? Things like that. So,
I think it's crazy that you think about that at that time, because in the 70s you also had, I think it was Soundstream it was called. I'm not too familiar with it, but technically it was the first DAW, so the first digital audio workstation to come out in terms of software.
Oh wow, Soundstream, huh?
Right, and this is the same time you think about, like, it had the mini computer, you had a disk drive, you had video display, and just the software to go, like, super basic shit that I would think of at that time. Like, I think Atari, I don't know if Atari was around at that time, but like those, like, even when Apple was first coming out, maybe that was 80s, maybe it was the 70s. I don't know.
07, yeah.
70s.
I mean, it all depends though. Like music software, I'm not sure.
Right.
I know definitely
The technology though of those companies was in the 70s. Right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. 70s, yeah.
So I think the first DAW, I think it was like maybe like 1 or 2 tracks, but it was like, at least you could record something digitally. So I think that changed it, the element of hip hop, you know what I mean, from going from these house parties or going to like parties where you have DJs, you have graffiti writers doing graffiti in the background while your boys are breaking or whoever, and you got the whole crew.
Right.
Into, okay, like this technology with computers is kind of coming into effect. Studios are starting to evolve. So now these artists could go to a studio, and with radio being pretty big, you could actually be able to record stuff in the studio and play it on the radio, where you wouldn't need to have necessarily the whole element of the breakdancer, you know, like the DJ, just to have to like be a part of that scene. Like you could actually.
One thing though too that we kind of forgot about though was the 4-track recorder.
Yeah, the 4-track.
That's huge.
That's definitely huge.
Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All those guys in Brooklyn, Staten Island were getting busy on that 4-track. You know what I mean?
They were.
Even Dre, up to guys like Dr. Dre, LL Cool J, all those guys were recording the tape. You know what I mean? But I just couldn't imagine now like being restricted to only 4 tracks. You know what I'm saying? Like that would suck so much.
Oh, absolutely.
But the thing
is,
it
would make that, you would have to be that much more genius.
No, totally, I agree.
What's important?
The thing was right, like when I first started making beats, I was on my laptop. So I took my laptop after school, FL Studio, boom, beats were trash.
Right.
Then I went and I got an MPC, and I only had however many megabytes of sampling space, and I was able to make music.
Right.
So, you know, sometimes it's not necessarily about having all the latest and greatest. It's making the best of what you have.
That's
you know
true.
what I'm saying? And that's what having the 2000 XL taught me. 100%.
You put the mayo on the sauce right there.
I mean, not even. I connected the dots.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was able to like, okay, this is how we do this. You know what I mean? And I only had so much space to work with. So, you know, when you're on your computer, you pretty much, in theory, have an infinity amount of tracks. You can
Right.
slice and dice however you want. But you have to be a lot more methodical, you know, turns into a little bit more of a chess game because you got to think about from the first chop to the end of the record.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you got to get all those pieces to fit within the memory. And, you know, that's really where, like, I can say, like, I learned how to make beats was off of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I started on computers first, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
You know, obviously I went back to, you know, working, you know, on computers and things like that, but just, you know, there's something to be said about hardware, and even to today, you know, there's still producers and musicians who live and die by hardware. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's a mostly digital world.
Absolutely.
Everybody's on
Yeah.
Splice and Sounds and
Right.
Reddit, getting drum kits and stealing drum kits. You know, there's something to be said for actual analog warmth and things like that.
Absolutely.
You know?
I still think it's very sought after. And it's funny you say that because I feel like, yeah, like our age, my age, same way, like I started getting into the production of music more on the computer.
Right.
So, but albeit more that I learned about it through the computer, I was more curious about the hardware for those things.
Right.
Like, what are the things that came out and helped evolve to this sound? And how do you get a different sound from that? Because there is a difference, which we'll play some examples in the video so you can watch. And also so you know, like also when Derek was talking about chops, like that specifically goes back to in the late 80s when they had, well, so we'll go over this. Let me say, like, after the 1970s, you got 77, hip-hop is evolving. You've got the first DAW coming out in the late 70s. So then you think 1980s in Roland came out with the TR-808, which is still highly relevant today.
Right.
Like, you think all the new music that's out in hip-hop, 808s are banging. Everybody's about the bass, the hi-hats.
Right. But the thing is, though, is that the 808 now, like what you think of an 808,
Right.
is a little bit different than what you think of when you talk about a drum machine, right?
True.
You know what I'm saying? So, that drum machine, though, the Roland TR-808, definitely changed music
Right.
over time, 10,000%. Like the rim shot, the 808s, you know, those are classic sounds that we hear all across music. Man, we should look up the guy who invented that drum machine. Well, I was watching a documentary on him, and he was talking about how he single-handedly just changed the dynamics of music with his drum machine.
Dude, absolutely.
And the sounds of it. So we should definitely just...
We'll pop in a clip right here.
Yeah.
Boop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Actually, that was kind of stupid. Like, boop. That sounded even worse. That's like Pee Wee Herman doing some shit.
But I didn't mean to cut you off, though, but
No.
go ahead.
No, that's true. Like, I feel like it was because, like, up to that point, your music was either other people's music, which was records. You're not only promoting, I mean, the best thing about being a DJ is you're promoting other people's music, whether it be new music, older music, whatever it was, or you'd have people playing live instruments, you know, and I feel like this in terms of hip-hop, since it's kind of based off of technology, and I guess in the beginning was jazz, then it turned more into a rock influence. But yeah, we'll definitely after that clip, because I think that would be great, is like that was the first machine to make it possible for somebody to make their own drum patterns and make their own basically song out of a machine.
Right, because you're saying before, like, let's say like a SP1200.
Right.
You took a drum break,
Right.
and sliced up that drum break, and kind of mashed it with your sample chops,
Right.
as well. Right. So with the 808, right, the TR-808, you can have the same sample chops, or even play a live instrument into the drum machine,
Right.
and sequence your own drum pattern,
Right.
instead of taking it from a break.
Right, exactly. Which I think is crazy, because then you have in 87, the year that I was born, thank God, what a beautiful year that was. I don't remember much, but the EMU, that's when they came out with the SP, the 1200. So that one was pretty good, which is basically, I guess according to what they were saying, it was around 26 hertz was the recording. So the recording rate that it was recorded at was about 26 hertz, which is still pretty gritty, so it's going to have a lot of that New York sound. So a lot of the producers that used that machine during that time, those drums, like you said, if you're sampling from a record and you're taking like a break, or you're taking a chop of that part of that song, and you're adding those drums that came with the SP1200 programmable drum machine, or with built-in, you know, the sounds that they had, they would be fucking super gritty, because you know, the rate for the sampling on that is just so low. And then 1 year later, you got a Kai, which came out with the MPC 60.
Right, which is a definite game changer.
Right. And that was like, bro, blown away. Fucking, I think Jay Dilla was after that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. A lot of people came up on the MP. I mean, honestly, up until I would say 5-6 years ago, which could be a long time in the internet age now, but I would say to about 6 years ago, a heavy amount of people were still using the MPC. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of producers now, it's just with technology, you can't deny. Like, you can pretty much, like, the algorithms and the sound are so good that you can. It's almost indistinguishable.
Right.
But the MPC, man, people to this day still rock with it. Just swear by it because of the flow and how it works and things like that, with the song structure and things like that. You know, you can't really beat the MPC, man. It's a beautiful machine. That's why it's held to such high esteem. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
You know?
Oh, absolutely. Out of those machines, that's the only one I really would know more than the other ones. You know what I mean? In terms of like actual practice and having my hands on them and having the availability for them. Like, it would be great to get the 808 and SP1200, but
I played with them, man, and you know, unless you want to do it as like a homage or like a cool project, it's just a little time consuming. Like, you can get quick with it, but it's, you know, you see why people
more for like an
doing
homage.
it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's definitely dope, and like, because like a lot of this stuff is like on floppy disk.
Right.
You know,
which was cutting edge at the time, obviously.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, or if you're popping, you got a zip disk. Oh shit! You know what I mean? Like, if you're popping, and then the newer MPCs had micro SD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you could freak that. You know, but you know, I mean, it's cool, but it's like, you're not gonna catch me doing it, like. Unless I'm like
floppy disk. That's more like a floppy idea. Like, I'd rather just fuck around. You know what I mean? Like, fuck that.
That's hilarious.
No, that's crazy. Because I think in 1996 with the first MPC model. So MPC is made by Akai, a Japanese company. I think that's really all I fucking know.
And they're dope.
They're dope. And the craziest thing is, like, what
Pioneers.
you're talking about is, like, up until 5 years ago, they're still popping. A lot of people still swear by it. It's because if you think about that 5 years ago, that's 2015. You thinking coming out in the fucking late 80s, like the same age that I've been born, they've been basically evolving MPC software, or the hardware for it.
Yeah.
So they're coming up with different versions of it, you know, like with MPC 60, probably the 100, 200, 500s, different numbers for them, and they all have different layers of, you know, like what you can do with them in terms of sampling. But in 1996, DJ Shadow, who was legend, absolutely, and coming out from the 70s and the 80s at that time when DJing was still like super popular, you know what I mean? And for DJ Shadow, obviously, like the Sample King, one of the great DJs, came out with Introducing. Basically, all of his beats were there on the MPC 60.
Yeah.
So everything he used on there was that, and then of course just like, you know, the samples that he took from his records.
Right.
And then it's crazy because the MPC that I have, the 1000, it's the Japanese company hardware, obviously the actual machine itself, but the software was a bootleg version that was made in Australia, I think in the late 90s.
Which is dope, though. I like the software. It's a little bit more user-friendly.
It's much more user-friendly, yeah, for sure. So it just made a lot more actions a lot more easier, and they would make more sense logically, you know, when you're using the machine.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, let's fast forward to 2020.
Okay.
Right? Where a kid can make a hit on his phone.
Let's
talk about that.
That's bizarre.
That's crazy, right?
It's absolutely crazy.
I think, you know, what really bugs me out is that you can go on Craigslist, get yourself a little MacBook, right?
Right.
You know, get Logic. It's already got Autotune in it. You know, let's say you've learned how to make beats for a couple months.
Right.
You make yourself a beat with Logic sounds, find a halfway decent drum kit, and, you know, you could potentially go viral.
You could, bro, and I think it's crazy that it's that accessible.
Yeah, man, and it's like even for me, like I swear by Universal Audio, so I have an Apollo, and you know the quality that I'm able to almost reach with like the converters and the clock and everything with the Apollo, because it's got some really nice emulations with preamps and compressors. It's just absolutely out of sight, and then each new version it gets better than the one before.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And what I see people now and kids who were 13, 14 recording in FL Studio on a Focusrite, and it's coming out fire, bro.
That's crazy.
It's coming out absolutely fire. Now, here's the problem, right? The flip side of that is that tech, or those tools are get in the hands of somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. So, although I feel like we are, and sometimes, in one of the greatest eras of hip hop with what people are doing lyrically,
it is also one of the greatest eras of trash. I feel like,
dude, like
I
feel like trash is now a subcategory.
Oh yeah,
There's definitely like some people may call them SoundCloud rappers, but that's disrespect. I feel like there's a lot of SoundCloud rappers who are nice,
right?
And I think there's a lot of people out there who just genuinely like trash. You know what I'm saying?
Genuinely like trash.
Like they just like bad music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people, but they may like this artist because of their personality or their antics or like whatever the case may be.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
So couple that with social media and us being able to, reach the world in like a matter of seconds with, our platforms. I just think it's absolute. For one, I think it's brilliant too. I really enjoy collaborating with people who I can't meet up with because of social distancing and the whole COVID situation,
right.
Or just because you live in a different state or across the globe, and we happen to like each other's stuff, and we can work via email. And get stuff done very quickly, and it sounds like we were in the same room.
Oh, it's completely a different world, and it's just like, how do you even get there? Where, it's like, now it's the norm. You want to work with somebody, a producer from Canada. You want to work with an artist or collab on with some vocals from somebody in Europe, and you've never met any of these people, but you could make it possible.
What's your prediction for music in like 2040? Like, what's like the next thing? Like, like how we made the jump from recording the tape to recording digitally. You know what I'm saying? Now you could record digitally in your house. You know what I mean? With just your laptop. What's the next step? You know what I mean? What do you think is going to be next?
Oh man,
I think what you can do is that you plug in like your 10 favorite songs into a program, and it spits out like one dope song that sounds like all 10.
I mean, I would not be surprised.
Vocals and everything.
I would not be surprised.
It figures, I don't know how it does it, but whatever your favorite song is, your 10 of them or 20, you give them some references, you know what I mean? And it spits out a joint just like it. It's like, I feel like if you could come up with that'd be the new Spotify. Like, you make your own music through your music.
So everybody is basically a producer, musician.
Almost. You're like a curator. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's the direction. I think that could be the direction.
Playlist and everything,
which could be good in terms of creative ability, if that's even a fucking word. But now it is. That would be interesting because I'm trying to think of like if I had like 10 different songs. Let's say that I like a country song. There's one I like right now. There's also a rap song I like. I also like
Old Town Road.
Indie song.
To the Old Town Road I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
I got the horses in the back, horse stock is attached.
Yeah, let's throw some fucking Motown. While we're in there, you know what?
Which I mean, that song is cool. I don't like that. I just want to put it out there.
Yeah. Oh,
it's not my go-to. It's not my go-to. But what if it did come up like, the algorithm spit some shit like that out?
I could actually see that. I was not thinking that. That's a really good prediction. It's kind of scary though because I'm like. But I feel like, it's almost going in that direction.
But see, here's the difference, right? So here's the difference, what I'll tell you. Or what I would think, right? So you could give it 10 different, you can give it the references, spits out the song. The song sounds amazing. Boom. Okay?
Right.
But the thing is that you have a human who makes a record, right, with the band, and there's emotion in that record. You know what I'm saying? And for me, that's what gives you replay value. That's what makes a song a classic, right? Like the notes, the drums, everything could be tuned to perfection. The structure could be, A1. But if the emotion isn't there and it sounds nice, but if it doesn't elicit emotional response, you know what I mean? Then.
So you think technology would be good if you could just have something that technologically mixes these 10 songs together as a skeleton, and then the human aspect would be refining it, making sure that...
Oh, that would be ill.
That's what you're saying?
I don't know. I mean, that would be dope, too.
Right.
That would be fire, but I was saying, like, the difference between, like, a human making music and a computer making music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I think there's a huge difference there.
But let's see though. Let's see who wins, man. I mean,
I think it'll be a nice handshake in the middle. Maybe not a handshake. Maybe it'll be like an actual fight in the middle between not AI, but yeah, like the artificial intelligence of music on that level, and then of course the human side of it.
Yeah.
And finding a bridge where it's like, yeah, because most people that listen to music, you feel an emotion from it, some sort of thing, and that's why you listen to it.
The ones that have replay value. You can listen to a good song, right?
Right.
I'm like, that's a good song. It sounds nice.
Right.
But you're not coming back to it, right?
Well, yeah,
And you might come back to it even if it made you angry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like what? Nah, I'm going back. You know what I'm saying? Or if it made you happy, makes you feel good, right? You want to, you gotta have emotion. That's what any good product, any good thing in general is gonna elicit that. And sometimes maybe the same thing with like art, right? Like, give it 10 different Renaissance artists, come up with something ill.
Right.
Okay, that's a dope painting, but I don't know. Am I feeling?
I'm not really feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the great thing about art too, is like but I mean, like, there's the argument aside, like, bro, there is just people who like trash out there. Like, there's so many people who absolutely 100% like listening to music, and they think it's got good replay value, but you're like, bro, the song has no emotional value from it. I don't know.
That's true. I forget those people exist, but that's true.
Like, what kind of emotional pull do you even bring from that? And I think that's crazy too with technology, how it's made that possible for the average person. And I think for the average person that's not as like as junky as we are into the technology, into the music and the production of it, where it's like, most of the music they hear in their life is either on the fucking radio or shit that they hear on the social media.
I forget that people live that way.
Absolutely.
That's terrible.
I'd say it is, because it's just, I feel like it's biased and it's uneducated, which is probably more of a negative thing for them. You know what I mean? Because you're not seeing the whole picture of what really is possible.
100%.
Yeah. But which is crazy when I think, let's get back to like the 90s, when you had, I know one of your favorite producers, like Jay Dilla.
Of course, man. Come on. Dilla's the king, bro. Like, Dilla's the man.
Because he was MPC.
Everything.
God.
Yeah.
And you think about technology, like, I wonder what he would, like, the amount of time that he put into that machine, the MPC, which is now, it's in the Smithsonian, right?
It is in the Smith. It's either his MPC or one of his synths or both.
Okay.
And it's in the black music section where there's like I think there's a Motown. That's what it is. There's a Motown museum in the Smithsonian.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Jay Dilla's from Detroit, obviously. So Motown, boom, he's in the. So if I'm not mistaken, his MPC 5000 and his Moog, I could be mistaken, but those two pieces are definitely in the Smithsonian. Yeah, 100%.
And that's amazing.
Well, because a lot of people don't realize, the kind of impact he had on general pop music. He's on a lot of R&B cuts that are all classics that we just love. And he's a big influencer to your favorite producer's favorite producer, and it just goes a lot to say what someone can be gone for so long now, and their impact is still felt, and still have new music released, and you have your own day, your own event back home, and people all around the globe study your style. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because of the swing, and a part of some of the illest groups, and spawned some of my favorite producers. Right. You know what I'm saying? Kanye, Black Milk, Alchemist. You know what I mean? Everybody, Q-Tip. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody pays homage to Dilla. And he was, in terms of tech, he was way ahead of his time. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think he even knew.
He was using DAWs before DAWs were a thing. Right. He's like some obscure DAW. You know what I mean? And just always thinking forward and about how to do the next thing, and just really just pushing it, right? Yeah. It's going down up there.
Damn, right? Yeah, that's thunder outside, man.
Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, man, Dilla definitely one of my favorite producers. He's the one who, and the thing was, I talked about earlier, I learned how to make beats on the MPC. That's when I understood the magic of Dilla, right? So then I understood what he was doing. I got it. So let me try and emulate that on the MPC, right? So that's kind of where I connected the dots. Because kind of like, everything kind of started to make sense. Right. And then I took what I learned from there and I could transfer that back to the computer.
Right. And I think that's the blessing, definitely, of being our age and being able to appreciate somebody that you looked up to and you loved the music, you loved like the swing of it, like you said, like the swing was kind of just like, I guess it's kind of like it's like the difference between the AI where you hear like a drum, it's not like boom, tit, boom, tit, it more be like boom, tit, boom, tit. Like it has.
It's
more,
off feeling.
It's off feeling and it's off beat. It's not like it's not computerized. It's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. Might be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. You know, something like that.
Yeah.
Time at the Regal. Young man went out and made a name for himself.
Dude, Madlib was the same. Like, I feel like J Dilla and Madlib for sure. And J Dilla, like, I feel like he was very surgical. So taking difference from like DJ Shadow, who would definitely sample breaks in the late 80s, and then you got Dilla coming in at this point, and he's a lot more surgical, a lot more harmonic with everything that he's thinking of. He's taking like just one drum chop, like maybe just, you know, like one snare hat, you know, like a sound of a shaker from some freaking Motown record, and then mixing them all together and layering them up, you know, and like making his own compositions as opposed to just sampling one thing. And
Right.
And I think that's where it was so innovative, and he just made it sound so great. And because it came from this hardware and these machines that were built for lower sample rates, it was still pretty high at that time. I think it was definitely a lot more than fucking the 24 for the fucking SP1200. But it still fucking hit hard. In the 90s, J Dilla was super big. He came out 94 through 96. They came out with
Slum Village.
DTM, just like Jake the Snake. Actually, we don't participate, but if you do, then I'ma see you at your weight.
Ooh, Slum Village was good. Well, J Dilla was great because, he was like Slum Village, Far Side, Common, basically every fucking big name at that time was coming out, was always looking. Exactly, was like looking for those. I think the 90s was essential for that type of growth in hip hop because you had people growing up in the 80s that were seeing DJs. We forgot to talk about mixtapes too, because I feel like that's a huge part of technology.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Like the tape, the cassette tape. Like, you know what I mean?
Dude, even me growing up in the 90s, it was like, dude, all the raps that I did with just a turntable and a fucking was a karaoke machine. It was recorded straight to tape.
Right. No, 100%.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, the tape machine is incredible, man. Like the tape hits, like, it's definitely, that's what all started. Like you go to some rappers who are a little bit older now, but they recorded like mixtapes to actual cassette tape.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. In the studio. Yeah.
And, you know, and then even till then, like a lot of dudes would, record it to Pro Tools and then burn it to CD.
Right.
There's no like email it to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like,
and it's crazy. Yeah.
It's like burn me a CD. I'm gonna listen to it in the car on the way home. Now it's just like, yo, all right, send me the bounce. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, I mean, that's the crazy. You think about the availability of being able to reach out, but you think about back then, it's kind of like, let's say you have 4 tracks to work with. You've got a fucking machine like, even just say an MPC, which would be a blessing if you're in that time.
Yeah.
You know, compared to like the Roland TR-808 or whatever.
Right.
So let's say you've got that, you've made a mixtape, you've recorded on your own, you've got all your music, you got your DJ that did the music or some of the beats for that and put everything together for you. You actually physically had to go out either to a label or you had to go to somebody like an A&R or somebody who's looking for talent.
Pass them your tape.
And pass them your tape.
No, that's a fact.
And you got to hustle and hope. Now you can, like you said, you could send your fucking your kid out. You could send anything through a bunch of emails, and you could probably do 20, 30, 40, 50 a day if you wanted to.
No, man, and that time had a moment, and I miss, being in my neighborhood and, coming across a dude who's hustling whatever, his CDs or whatever.
His CDs.
And this shit being fire. I remember a couple of joints that I had was straight fire from my neighborhood, and I can't get those back. I can't find it on Apple Music. You know what I'm saying?
You got lucky, man. I bought trash on the streets.
Oh no, no. The majority of it, 99% of it was trash.
But the good ones that
I remember 2 of them that were nice. You know what I mean? That were really really nice. And one of them was this label that was kind of, it's still kind of big, called Hot Lava from back home. Like the hometown heroes for like indie artists in Detroit.
Okay.
In the early 2000s. So that meant something. Nowadays, if like somebody comes with me in their project on the street, I'm gonna laugh at you.
Right.
I told you I got into a fight with somebody trying to sell me a CD a couple of years ago.
What happened? Yeah.
So it's me, my wife, and her brother. We're going to eat over on like 33rd Street, and I'm walking in. This dude's like, "Yo, can you listen to my music? Looks like you like hip hop." So
while you're eating?
No. So my wife and her brother, they walk in. They like leave me to like fend for myself. So like, I'm outside. I'm like talking to this guy. It's a young dude. I was like, all right, at least I'm gonna hear you out. You know what I'm saying? Like you're working, trying to do your thing. I'm like, bro, like I don't have a CD player. Like I want to support you, but like how am I gonna listen to your music? I'm like, are you online? He's like, nah, I'm not online. I'm like, well, I have no disk drive.
Right.
Like I just got a new laptop. You know what I mean? So it's probably now I remember more than a few years ago, but and I was like, bro, I was like, yo, take down my number. Let me talk to you. Let's have a conversation because like nobody's gonna buy CDs. Right. He was like, I'm trying to start a record label. And like I almost laughed in his face. And I was like, I still feel for you.
Yeah.
You know what I
feel
mean?
for you, but you couldn't even print a CD label.
Not even exactly. You couldn't print it. It was a blank CD in a plastic case with Sharpie on it. And I'm like, yo, I tried every other way. I was like, can you email it to me? Can you can I find you online? Is your website, social media?
Right.
And like none of that.
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, all right, bro, whatever.
I think it was Nat King Cole's brother who time traveled. And fucking met you and tried to fucking sell him some music.
I mean,
that's crazy.
It couldn't be. I mean, but
right.
This was a while ago, and he just was young and ambitious, and was just trying to pursue his dream. You know
right,
what
and you
saying?
feel for him on that level.
And I get that. I'm like, yo, like I see you hustling. Like I want to, but maybe let me give you some direction. Right. But he wasn't trying to hear what I was having to say.
And that's where it's not going to help you.
He wasn't. And looking back on, I'm like, could my approach could have been different? Probably. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But he wasn't tuned in. He thought like I'm going to make a tape with my artist. We're going to do a bunch of blank CDs and try and sell it to people. And the reason why, like, I wanted to help him, but like I said, I've been hustled before. Like people, I'm not getting got. Like I'm grown. Like I know that game. Like you're not about to get me right now. But I see you trying to do something. But let's talk. But that didn't happen.
Well, I think that was probably the smartest move because you never know. Like a lot of that could be just like, yeah, they have great music, they're trying to do it. But bro, if they were really serious about trying to do a label, they would have shit online. Like, bro, this has been available for 10 years.
More than that, way longer. What I mean?
Yeah. So if this happened only a couple of years ago, like, these guys, they might just think it's all fun and games, like doing that shit, and then just
Yeah, it might seem like a smart idea at the moment, but when you actually try and sit down and make a business plan and a strategy, it's not a good idea.
It's not, man. But I definitely miss the vibes in those days. Like, a lot of the mixtapes that I bought or fucking beat tapes. I think beat tapes came along a little bit later. Well, I guess beat tapes, they came along more like when the MPC, you had a lot of instrumentalists, like people that looked into instrumentals. Yeah. That was big. But, I think when hip hop was evolving, I mean, the MC became a total different aspect to hip hop too. It went from just entertaining a group to being the front runner for what hip hop would mean in terms of content. It could be anything from like gangster rap where you got NWA, you got people talking about things that are political, what they're living in their life, or you got people that are having fun talking about lifestyle, but in a different way, like Outkast, like something that's completely out there. Yeah. But just completely taking MCing to a different level where it's almost storytelling.
Exactly. Yeah, just taking it to storytelling. And, it's, those guys that you're talking about are into poetry and into literature. You know what I'm saying?
Smart, educated people, for sure.
And I mean, and smart, but not necessarily educated in the more traditional sense. And what it is, hip hop is a vehicle for you to be able to talk about what's going on in your life, to be able to somebody, like if I'm in Atlanta or if I'm on the West Coast, I could tell people around the globe about what's going on in my community. Right. I can tell you about these experiences, and being able to do that articulately in the coolest way with the dopest flow over some sick beats. Right. You know what I mean? That's really where it all grew to. Now hip hop is definitely morphed into like, a three-headed monster that's out of control.
Almost every direction.
You know what I'm saying? There's you really can't put a label on it. You know what I mean? Because it's so popular now. But back then, though, people took pride in delivering the message, and even with the party records. You know what I mean? People took pride in those. You know what I mean? Those, I feel like those records are a little bit more different and kind of, I don't know, man. I think party records from like the 90s and early 2000s. you know, it had a different vibe to it than they kind of do now. Because I feel like a party record now pops up for a couple months and then it's gone. You know what I'm saying? I really don't hear too many. I mean, other than like the song of the summer, which is like maybe one. That
but I feel like that's a lot for that genre. You're absolutely right. I feel like a lot of the party songs have all just become inevitably all summer songs.
Yeah,
like they just come and go. Like they're hot when they're there, and then once they're hot, what's the next new one?
Right. Because if you play something from last year that was hot, that's old. It's not. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which I understand. I totally get it. If it's not tasteful, you know what I'm saying, and it doesn't make sense. But you know, I think that having replay value and stuff that kind of stand the test of time, you know, I think we should, you know, there's something to be said in that.
That's true. That's definitely true.
But one thing that kind of round things back out to get back into tech, right? So you started off with records, you know what I mean?
Right.
Records definitely took a shit. Like they were like tanking, you know, because everything was
they literally
CD,
took a shit, right?
Literally and figuratively, yes.
Whew.
So, you know, went to, you know, CDs, then digital, and then now records are back for the past few years now. We've been going crazy. Like I talked to a few artists now, and they can't, like their vinyl orders are on back order. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And there's a limited amount.
Yeah.
You know?
And I wonder, and I think a lot of people would agree that, you know, if you knew the difference between the sound of something that's digital, which is just, I guess, not an airwave. Well, it's a music wave that's just flattened, so you can listen to it, so you can stream it.
Right.
When you have something physical, like tape is pretty flattened too, but with a record, it's got grooves in it, so it's the vibration, which is what sound is the vibration of airwaves. So I think I wonder if the resurgence of vinyl now is because of the quality, or I wonder if it's because of the kind of the hype of the comeback of it. Almost.
What I think it is, I think it's a couple things, right? So, if I'm not mistaken, if you take a high quality waveform, like you can take a wave file or a FLAC, or what's the one, ALC?
AICC or something. Yeah.
So you take those files, right? That technically, if it's mixed well and mastered well, should be the exact same sound quality as a vinyl.
Right.
Okay. Now here's the thing: with vinyl, you have the whole experience. You pull it out of the case. You got liner notes. You get a poster. You get stickers. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, on the vinyl itself, you can actually see the individual grooves in the tracks. And then, you know, when you put it on the record player, it takes a little, you know, there's steps to it. You know what I'm saying? So I think the process, and then also just being, the process, and then just having the physical piece of art with you, because you buy an album on iTunes, you know, you get the album art on your phone, but you can't hold it, you can't look at the liner notes, you can't see who produced it, who played guitar, who played keys, and all that stuff, right? For me, you know, guys like us, we take pride in knowing who worked on excuse me, we take pride on knowing who worked on each record, who produced it, who mixed it.
Right.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
You good? And
I think that's why, for one, just having the physical connection, because like we were saying, like we there's an emotional connection to a lot of this stuff, and being able to hold it. Like my favorite albums, right? I get two of them.
Right.
I get two. I get one that doesn't get open.
Right.
And I have one that I open, I play with. I don't got to worry about it if I scratch it. You know what I mean? And those are my favorite records. I got duplicates. And that's just because, you know, we hold it up in high regard. It's honestly I would say the best way to enjoy music. Even though if you want to argue quality, you can get the same amount of quality in different formats. But in my opinion, this is the best way to consume music. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, because it's more of, it's not just, yo, let me, so like for instance, we got David Bowie, you know what I mean? I can't see that shit. But just like you were saying, it's like the experience of taking it out. You can look like, the first thing I was like, yo, this artwork is cool. You know what I mean? So that's, you know what I mean? So that's the good thing about vinyl. You never know what you go get.
That's some straight 80s
like
shit.
A solo cut from the 80s. Yeah.
Right, that's some straight 80s shit. And one thing that I also, you know, think that gets overlooked when it comes to vinyl, like for this one, for a full album, most vinyls are 4 sides, right?
Right.
So you listen to 3 or 4 records and then the music stops and you got to flip it over. So it's not like 45 minutes or an hour of just straight music.
Right, you're not zoning out, cleaning your house. You're like engaged. You're listening to
Right.
it.
So in the time it takes to flip the record, you know, you might be talking about it. Oh, what'd you think? Like that song.
Right.
In those 30 seconds it takes you to flip the record, you kind of review, you can think about what you just listened to.
Right.
And then you dive in for the next piece of the meal.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that's important because, like you said, like you look at it, like this one is pretty simple. I mean, it's David Bowie. You could buy this at any fucking like thrift shop, but you know, like just the fact that you can go through liner notes, you could see like some of them have the lyrics. You could find all those things online, but how likely is it that you're really going to do that unless it's a song you really like?
Right.
So with an album, I feel like it's a lot more. It's the experience. It's the fact that even if it's an artist you only like one song from, it's looking at their whole album as a project and what it means to them. And that's how technology, I feel like, has changed too. You've gone from mixtapes, people making things that are cohesive,
right?
You know, and you know, I think maybe the songs were longer at that point. You got like 4 or 5 minutes. They were probably even longer before that. You know, you got fucking mixtapes and beat tapes that are probably just one long fucking just mix,
right?
You know, before. Now you have songs that are, you know, people are releasing singles like crazy because they know it sells, and they're like 2.5 minutes,
right? Right, because
So-
you just want that spin.
Yeah, and we love the records, and we love that because I like it, because even if it's an artist that I like and only one or two songs, something on record, most likely they had a lot more thought going into an album.
A lot more
everything,
energy,
you know?
a lot more. It's a whole cohesive project.
Right. You know, and I think that's absolutely fucking just amazing that it's come from like
it's
that.
dope, you know. Like I can give you a vinyl, you could pass it on to me. It's just it's a really cool medium. It's very personal. It can also be a very intimate, shared experience.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then also as fans, we like to have our collectibles. You know what I mean?
Right,
We like
exactly.
to curate our collection.
Something you could physically hold. You know? Yeah.
100%. It brings you closer to the project. You know what I mean? And the vinyl, it's all an experience of itself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's a part of actually the artistry, you know, like making an album and like the visuals that you associate the music with, and then the liner notes. Sometimes you get some insights about the artist and like some behind the scene photos or whatever the case may be that kind of draw you into the project more, you know. Like Graduation, Takashi Murakami, like incredible artist. You know, you get like some really great photos on like To Pimp a Butterfly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like some really next level art on these iconic albums, in my opinion, sometimes have a lot to say with the tone of the album and then also how the album's going to be perceived, you know? So I just think that it's something that gets overlooked nowadays. Somebody just grabs a graphic designer off of Instagram or whatever the case may be.
And it's just like, yo, make that shit look cool. Like,
Make
don't
it look
like
cool,
a story.
you know, make it look like it came off a World Star, Bing Bong, throw it up, you know what I'm saying? Everything is super generic now, but for those people, and there's still a market for it today, you know, who really take their artistry serious.
Right.
And then, you know, I think a vinyl's dope, man. And I think another thing too why vinyl is coming back is it's another revenue stream for artists. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Especially now where, you know, you can release all your merch, you know, your hoodies, your t-shirts, your socks on Shopify or whatever the case may be. You know, you can make bread off that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So not only, you know, do you get your merch and your music, you also can support the artist in knowing that they're going to get their, you know, get that money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, from your purchase. So,
yeah, it's crazy now because I think even on an independent level, like people on Bandcamp, like stuff like that, I've been seeing like merch. Yo, you can buy the download right there within Bandcamp for like $10, and they're like, oh, but if you just do like $5 more, yo, we'll throw you a vinyl, we'll throw you a tape, and you know what I mean. So you'll have both those physical things too that we'll send you.
Right.
And it's kind of cool because it's like, yeah, like we said, you want to have something like to trophy from that artist or an artist that you want to support or whatever it is.
Yeah, I got mad tapes I don't even listen to. I just have them just to collect them because they're dope. I got Dr. Dre tapes, Dilla tapes, everything.
Nice.
Far Side, like, you
Damn,
know what
I'm
I mean?
jealous, bro. I got a lot of tapes too, but they're trash. Like, I just hold on to them. Bro, it's like Randy Travis. It's like fucking, bro, like I think I got Curtis Blow from the Breaks.
That's ill.
That's pretty cool.
That's ill.
But then the rest of I think it's like volume 1 through 3 of classical music. You know what I mean? It's like
I mean, it came out. It was trending on Twitter that Beethoven was black last week. Did you see that?
really.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bro, it was hilarious. They had like all these like these hood scenes from music videos like bouncing to Beethoven. It was hilarious.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we were like, yeah, we knew Beethoven was black this whole time, man. Come on.
Oh man, yeah. I wonder if he was alive or somebody like Mozart. You know, like they would probably be pretty innovative. Big supporters of technology, considering back in the day they had nothing, you know, in terms of that.
I've worked with composers though in the studio sometimes, and it's not fun.
No,
Nah, it's like the driest of the dry.
I
Like,
imagine, bro.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Right.
But those dudes though, they'll probably be like on some other shit though. Who knows what they would do?
Yeah, I wonder what the fuck they would do, man. I think it's crazy. Well, you think about those things. I wish they had things to record on, like so. 1994 through 96, Cubase came out, Pro Tools came out.
Right. That's
Pro
the
Tools
fact.
been around. It's still mainly used in the studios. Like you work in the studio with your experience.
Yeah.
Being around for that long, do you think it's definitely a program that you feel like has reigned supreme in studios and for recording for that long? It's been like 20 plus years.
Pro Tools is the industry standard when it comes to recording. Okay. Now, just because it's the industry standard doesn't necessarily mean it's the best, right?
Right.
You know, nowadays, you know, the playing field is even, whether you use Logic, Ableton, Pro Tools to record. Depending on like how you record, Pro Tools may be better for, you know, multi-track recording. You know, if you like to punch in, if you want to comp a vocal, Pro Tools is definitely the superior DAW. But if you want to do something like production, then you might want to go with like an Ableton or a Logic, Cubase, Studio One. Every DAW has its own plus and minuses, pros and cons. But if you walk into a studio, a major studio anywhere in the world, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be running Pro Tools. And that's because they need to record vocals in a full band at the same time, which you can do in Logic. You can do it in Ableton, right? It's just a lot better in Pro Tools, right? And without getting into like any technical detail, it's just take me at my word for it, right? It just works a lot better. But like if I'm just making a beat, having a beat writing session, just kind of messing around, I like the flexibility of something like Logic or Ableton, you know, which is a little allows me to have more creativity on the fly, where I can do all the same stuff in Pro Tools. I have all the same MIDI capabilities, most of this like same audio manipulation, time stretching, like the algorithms are a little bit different, but I can do the same things for the most part. It's just how fast can I do them and how quickly can I access certain tools.
Right. So it would take more time in Pro Tools, and it might take away from your creativity and be like, you know what, fuck this shit. I don't want to do this anymore.
And some things you can just drag, boom, 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 click this, drag this here, drop that here. You know, with Pro Tools, I mean, you can get fast. Like, you know, you learn your hotkeys, your shortcuts, you get really fast with it. But still, with just how the program is, it can slow you down. And I mean, like, there's tons of producers who produce, mix, track, all in Pro Tools.
Everything, yeah.
You know, and it sounds incredible, but you kind of got to recognize the strengths and weaknesses for what they are. One thing though that I'm kind of going on the Pro Tools rant, but they changed how they operate with their software now. So it's done every year. So there's like Pro Tools 2020, Pro Tools 2021, right?
Okay.
So now they have updates every so often. And one big thing that was added in Pro Tools 2020 was folders, which are groups, and you couldn't use groups in Pro Tools before.
Okay.
So now that's like huge, you know, because now, you know, in Ableton you can put groups inside of more groups.
Right. There was no limit to what you
know.
Do.
So now Pro Tools saw that and like, okay, all right, well, we need to be able to use groups, what they call folders. They've definitely got a lot better with their MIDI editing, because they see how many kids are, you know, what they're making beats is mostly with, you know, clicking in notes in the piano roll. So they've gotten a lot better with the MIDI editing. My favorite update that they did was what they did with the offline bounce. So now you can bounce your MP3 and WAV simultaneously along with the stems for your record.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All at the same time.
So if you want to say, you know, I do a session together. Right. I'm your engineer. Like, Derek, send me the MP3 bounce and the stems because I want to go home and work on it.
Right.
Before, right, you would have to even in some rigs on like Pro Tools 10, you would have to bounce the song and it has to play the length of the song, right? Like for it to bounce. Offline bouncing does that in like a few seconds. But even then, before, you would have to offline bounce the song and then go back and export all the stems.
Okay.
So now you
all
can
the stems separately, or you could
separately.
group the stems. Oh wow.
So now, oh no, you could group the stems and export them all of them at once.
But now it does it all at the same time if you
all
want.
the same time
without having to play the whole song.
Right. And it just like in a few seconds, like 5-6 seconds. So it'll export your WAV or MP3 and export your stems for you, which is really cool. And it lets, because a lot of people felt that Avid was kind of getting comfortable. Like a lot of DAWs, especially I think Logic was catching up quickly. Logic and Studio One were catching up quickly to what Pro Tools could do and offered a lot more features, some people felt. So they're really trying to, stay competitive, know. So
I feel like, they were probably comfortable. They were kind of at the top of
for a while,
top of the tier, and they probably still are. And like I was saying, coming out and in the time of that era in the 90s, like being able to have that much of, I guess, a resume, like they're definitely easily could be sitting comfortably at the top. But with technology moving so fast nowadays, like updates, like you said, on a yearly, if not even more, like more frequently on a basis of updates for the program.
Right. So it comes out like 2020, and then the update will be 2020.1,
right,
and then 2020.2, and like et cetera. You know what I'm saying? So, man, and I love Ableton too. I'm in Ableton all the time. I know you use Ableton.
Yeah, Ableton's fun.
Ableton is probably my favorite DAW just because there's no limit. Like you were literally like your creativity limits you. You could do whatever you want in Ableton, even down to creating your own plugins with Max for Live.
Right.
I haven't done that, but I've downloaded some, that some producers have created, and it just adds a whole different dynamic. And I just like having extra, tools, in my bag to pull out if I need them. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a really awesome creative tool for producers.
Absolutely. I think it is, because even something like Ableton, I don't know how long they've been around. Definitely not as long as Pro Tools. But I mean, like using it too. I just love it for creativity, for the fact that you could basically engineer now with the newer updates and the later versions of Ableton that you could be able to create your own basically plugins or like different types of tools and toys that can help you get the sound that you are looking to achieve, and you can make whatever sound you wanted to.
And two things that I really like about Ableton that I'll never stray from it is, one, the audio manipulation, right? The warping is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And then two, if you wanted to, Ableton can also double as DJ software.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can make your tracks, and then you can spice up your tracks and organize them for a live set. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then you can go with your artist and do your thing, and you can DJ and produce all in one DAW. Right. Which I think is really, really cool.
I think it's amazing. And I think beyond that too, recently, just more with videos too, you can do video editing. So you bring in the video, it'll play it in like QuickTime, whatever video player you have on your computer.
Yeah.
But you'll be able to edit at the same time you're seeing the video with really no lag time or anything, same speed that you would have a regular session in Ableton.
Right.
While this video is playing, and then be able to have like 3D sound capability, little plugins or something to kind of mess with that if you're making like a film or you're doing like editing something that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of
that's a big thing about Ableton, is that it's not too processor heavy when you're running it native. Like if you bring in Serum and like a bunch of other CPU intensive plugins, right, like you may start to push the limits of your machine, but Ableton stock is pretty lightweight and very efficient. You know what I'm saying? And that allows you to be a lot more flexible with it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it's just crazy, the technology that's come, because Pro Tools, I guess, when it came out, had a 32-track capability for that. So I imagine now it's
it was just
pretty close to limitless,
No, there's a limit. I forget what it is, but there's a difference between like your Pro Tools rig on your laptop and then like an HD system. So an HD system, I mean, I don't even know if it like people who would watch this would care, but basically an HD system has converters and like a separate CPU, so you can use certain plugins that will take CPU from the HD system and not your computer. You know what I'm saying? There's a few benefits of running an HD system. Also, another is that you have access to a lot more tracks, right? Like the amount of audio tracks you can have is capped. I don't know what it is, but with the HD system, it's significantly more.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially if you're running it off your laptop or something that doesn't have as much CPU.
Right. Like a good example, well, we're not even going to get into it, but let's talk about my favorite advancement in technology.
Okay.
Music.
What's up?
Take a guess.
Basically, we got 80% agreement.
We got 80% agreement.
The 47 million Americans who don't have any health insurance at all.
No health insurance at all.
I'm gonna break down.
Autotune.
Autotune, nice. I like that.
I love Autotune. A lot of people hate on Autotune.
Yeah.
But Autotune single-handedly changed the way people make music, listen to music, consume music, everything.
Absolutely.
Autotune took people who can't sing, made them superstars.
It did. And
Autotune changed the writing process for a lot of these guys. Like a lot of dudes can't write unless you got the Autotune popping.
Right.
You know,
or even sing. You know what I mean? For that matter, depending on how you use it.
Like if you walk into the studio, like you got Autotune. No, okay, I'm going home.
Right.
I'll see you later. We're gonna smoke this blunt. I'm going home.
Right. That's true. That's the truth, man.
You know what I mean? But it's the thing is, what it did was, and what messed me up. I had this revelation. I was listening to some early 2000s R&B, like without Autotune, like no pitch correction, and like when it came out, it was fire.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now I listen back to it, no pitch correction. I'm like, oof.
Some of the old school R&B is like.
I'm like, oof.
Yeah.
I can hear it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm spoiled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, and there's something to be said about like, those imperfect records because they sound good at the time, but our ears have now been tuned to that pitch correction sound, like and it's like crack. Like once you have it, you can't go back. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it kind of it made music way better, right? Made to a degree, but it also ruined some music. Like some Motown stuff where they obviously didn't have any pitch correction.
Right.
Like those dudes, like Quincy knew what he was doing. They had vocalists who were making sure everybody was in key, everything was tuned up, right?
Right.
But like some other stuff that was kind of like late 90s, early 2000s, maybe not. We're just kind of like just doing it and it sounds good. Kind of doesn't hit the same after you've been listening to Autotune for 10 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So.
Because I think it's been a great tool in the industry. Like I think 96, 98. I think the first person to use Autotune on the song was the Cher song.
Yeah.
Believe.
Do you believe in life after love?
Yeah.
So she was the first one to use it. And then at 2005 was T-Pain. He was probably the innovator of using Autotune.
Hands down.
On the heavy level, not just for pitch correction and for tuning correction, but for basically warping his whole vocals and making it sound like robotic. So,
right.
Which is what you hear a lot in a lot of the newer forms, especially of hip hop and rap now. But I think it's amazing for somebody to take that even that form of technology where Autotune was used at that level for basically correcting pitching tunes and taking that tool to a different level, like Jay Dilla did with an MPC, or like Grandmaster Flash with a turntable, just taking it completely different from what its use would be and turning it into something that's completely different.
Yeah, and there's definitely levels. And even with the, like, some people think like, oh, just put the Autotune on it and I'm gonna sound like this guy. Right. Well, this guy can actually sing, you can't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So there's that caveat which people often forget. So Autotune it's a great tool, but like anything, it all depends on the person who's using it. You know what I'm saying? Right. Man, we should really get into it. Like, you said Autotune. When did that Cher record come out?
The Cher record came out in 1998.
Okay.
Because I'm not too sure when Autotune came out originally, but that was the first commercial record that was recognized to use it. I'm pretty sure there's probably other people who used it, whether they were independent artists or artists that weren't as big as Cher.
Yeah.
That maybe even used it to that level or it didn't. You know what I mean?
I can't say this for certain, but I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive it's been out way before Cher used it. It just made it popular because then, like, if you go back and you listen to that song, you can hear the correction. Right? I think in other songs, in other records earlier, it
wouldn't be as noticeable.
It was like to kind of help you get there, right?
Like
you
a note that's a little off, but you're
like you're a little flat. But we're gonna use our studio magic to get you there, right? This one, like, okay, I'm gonna use this as a creative tool to kind of make this electronic, dreamy style record. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, that kind of like, popularized, and then T-Pain just went absolutely crazy with it, and we all know, what happened after that.
Right.
But yeah, man, definitely Travis Scott, like, for sure, one of my favorite artists who definitely use Autotune. And the thing is, like, it's levels, and like you listen to his music, and like there's tons of layers, and you can tell he's got real vocal ability, and his lyrics are real thought out, and his writing is just absolutely incredible. The song structure is really good, and all that coupled with the Autotune kind of makes the greatness of what he does.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's like very forward thinking, with a lot of his production style. Even what Kanye did, like Kanye, he really used Autotune very uniquely in a creative way and tried to experiment with it, and I'm with all that. You know what I'm saying? I really want to see what we can do with it to kind of create new sounds and new soundscapes and things like that to try push the genre forward, and not necessarily have everybody sound the same,
right?
Because that's the problem now, is that like I'll listen to like a lot of stuff online, and it may be like out of key, whatever the case may be, but just everybody sounds the same.
Right.
You know what I'm
saying? It
saying?
doesn't have that creativity, that artistry behind it.
Yeah. And the problem is that like you could go in and then you could sound just like the Migos. You can give them the same template, but it's like you sound like them, but you don't sound like them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So and a lot of people are okay with just mimicking their favorite artist. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a problem, because we grew up in an era when you wanted to sound different, or you want to sound different, but you still had that sound like you were from, your city. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I could listen to a record for the first time and I could tell where he was from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or have like a general idea. You know what I'm saying? Now you don't know. I mean, for the most part, like everybody sounds like they're from Atlanta. Right. You know what I mean? Which is dope. Like, I love that style of music, but it's like we kind of got to switch it up. And Autotune made a crutch, because you can make something that sounds dope, but it's not necessarily unique. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's kind of become like the fallback on.
Yeah, it's a crutch for a lot of artists,
crutch,
man.
for sure.
And you take somebody like Tory Lanez, who is extremely talented, almost like a chameleon, and can morph into any style, and he can make a dope record with or without it, and he knows how to manipulate his voice and how to use the tune to kind of get the desired effect that he wants.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But most people are just kind of pigeonholed into thinking of what their favorite artist does.
Right.
You know what I'm
They're
saying?
like, oh, it kind of sounds like this, even though I can't sing. Oh, let's just put heavy sauce on the Autotune.
Right. Throw some reverb on there, some echo, delay. Because
I think if you could find that perfect marriage between it, like you said, with Kanye trying to do this stuff, you've got him dabbling in it and trying to do it in creative ways, like different people. Post Malone, the same.
Post, but he can. All these people though are talented. Post can sing.
Right,
He
exactly.
may look like a scumbag, but he can sing.
They can sing. You know what I mean? And finding that good marriage between, okay, what can I do and utilize this tool where it's not just, I'm not just using it, where it's something that I can help me build. Like,
totally.
I don't know.
Another one though that people I feel like gonna yell at me if I don't mention it is Melodyne. That's another
Melodyne
pitch correction software, where depending on who you are, you may prefer to use Melodyne, right? You just want to sing the vocals dry, get a good recording, and then Melodyne the vocals later. And Melodyne can sound pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
It can sound really, really fucking good. So it all depends on what you like. Me personally, I like the excitement of Autotune. I like the inspiration that it gives you in the moment. When you kind of like you hear that feedback, you hear your voice, and you kind of like hear the processing in real time.
Right.
I think there's a magic in that. You know what I'm saying?
I think so. Yeah.
Where Melodyne is absolutely phenomenal, and is a skill in itself to be able to take shitty vocals and pitch correct them correctly. There's just a magic about the tune that's undeniable.
Yeah.
And that's why it's my favorite plugin. You know,
It's
or my
definitely a
favorite.
fantastic plugin.
Not it's my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite. I'm
Yeah?
gonna go ahead and say it. Yeah, it's so much fucking fun, bro. Like it's
Right.
just fun. Like
Yeah.
it's just fun. Like it's fun. Yeah.
Because it's definitely, I mean, I feel like that's changed. I mean, you have that, you have the change in the sound and the music that you hear coming into like the 90s, the 2000s. Like you said, the early R&B, some of the songs that I listen to now that I'm just like, oh, those were fire back then. Now I'm listening to them, I'm like, oh, unless you're Boyz II Men or like, you know, like bigger names, you know,
Right.
you're like, you really couldn't sing that
Unless
well as
you
much
had
as I thought.
somebody who had an ear who understood how to get everybody in tune, right? Like
Right.
there's, you know what I mean? Like there's different ways to make records, but you had like a vocal producer or the producer who understood the like, all right,
Right.
we all got to be, you know, on the same page here.
Right.
Like people like Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Luther Vandross, all these are singers,
Right.
right? Who can sing, who are tuned.
Right.
Most that talent or just even like that concept now is kind of like left by the wayside just because
Absolutely.
the software does it for us now.
It's funny, yeah. It's funny that you say that because you think that time, 2000s, what you got? Napster came out
Yeah.
in '99. Then you had like Myspace opening up in 2003. Then at this time you have all these software programs. You have MPCs. You have numerous companies coming up with ways to produce, ways to record, basically at an affordable level for anybody to do it, like at a pretty decently affordable level where you
Yeah.
didn't have to go pay, you know, thousands of dollars at a studio or, you know, have to do that. And I think it's crazy when you think about that because I feel like, yeah, like exactly what you're talking about, the availability of all those tools then, Napster especially, into streaming, getting into when Spotify started or Pandora started around those times. Well, Spotify was a little bit later on, but I think having that accessible, you know, like having music accessible online did take away from the element of, oh, now it's like, now I can't sing. I can sing R&B even if I can't sing and we don't put auto-tune on it. Now I don't have to go through an engineer. Now I don't have to go through management on a label or
Right.
at a studio.
Right.
They're not going to filter and say, hey, this is not good. It's not being released.
Right.
Now you could do that shit because you could upload it and stream it onto your MySpace at this point.
Right.
Like if it's early 2000s and you could just be like, yo, this is my music. I put it on MySpace. You're just skipping the whole studio process and almost in the same way the filter process, which is good for some artists if you are good and you have talent. But for those artists who just want to, like we said, like,
Though some
sound
people
like the
need to
next
tell like, yo, bro, I don't know if the world needs that. You know what I
Right,
mean? Some
right.
people need that.
Yeah, like I get it's your passion, but nah,
I
like,
don't know if we need that one,
yeah,
bro.
you got to do something else. Like it's just like I feel bad for you, but bro, let's be honest. Like, you know,
But with the flip side though is that a lot of people were able to get their art out there, and it's just a lot of
Right.
times it's just raw, man. Like especially in the early days of the internet when like when forums were big, you know what I mean, and like you know, like the underground hip hop scene was really big on the internet. Like that was, you know, you wanted those raw forms of music because you felt like you were creating with the artist rather than kind of getting like the polished up version.
finished sound of it. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But those are the people who are like really talented, who know what they're doing. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But yeah, man, that was a golden or a special time in the internet. You know what I'm saying? Because we all had access to each other, but we were just learning what we could do with the tools that we have, and then it
Right.
kind of just started with Charles Hamilton. Right, I remember him being like one of the first, and then obviously like Soulja Boy, like being the first few rappers to kind of like utilize the internet to go
Okay.
crazy. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So yeah, man, it was a crazy time. You know, honestly, I feel like nowadays, I feel like most young people, they find a lot of their artists off of YouTube.
I feel like, yeah,
You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, and the thing is that like your music may be okay. Your music is cool. You know what I mean? Like a solid C. But I love you as a person. Like
Right.
your personality is lit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they fall in love with that. It's the whole experience. And there's 1,000 artists out there. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
that's
like
true.
who's the one like he changed his name to John something. He used to go by Boonk, and he was big on social media. He would like pop pills and stuff. He would do like all these crazy YouTube videos, go crazy on WorldStar. But I would say he's somebody like that, like who started off on WorldStar, or who started off rapping, right?
Okay.
And then started doing antics to get popping.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then like just stuck with the antics, and then kind of came back to the music after people really stopped giving a fuck about you because you made yourself look crazy. But that's kind of the formula nowadays, right? Is you have your music, but then
you
people
hope you
know
go viral
you for all the other fuck shit that you do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like obviously, like your boy's like 6ix9ine. Like no, if no one really cares about his music, I mean, he has fans, but the reason why he's doing so well is because it's the essence of what clickbait is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So people are just gonna click on it just to like be intrigued and see what's going on and, you know, try and catch some entertainment when the music is terrible.
Absolutely.
Word.
Yo, this episode is brought to you by Shitty Bike.
Yeah, moving on, I feel like you got video streaming, you got regular streaming, technology was big. Dude, everything that was coming out, like at the time, like we had video games coming out. Like that was big too. You got like even the bigger rappers like Biggie, you know.
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. When I was dead broke, man, I couldn't picture this.
Super Nintendo,
Yeah.
Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's in there talking about it. And I know you're a big video game head, you know, or used to be.
I used to be. I kind of just dabble now. Like I just kind of play to wind down. Like definitely not a like quote unquote gamer. I don't have enough time.
Right.
But I do enjoy video games, 100%. And you know, I think, you know, there's definitely who was it? What is it? Steve Stout's publishing company, what's it called? United Masters.
Okay.
United Masters was doing something where you could submit your music and it could end up in
like a video game,
NBA 2K.
Right.
You know, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's super crazy, but that's cool if you're one of those kids who plays that and all the time.
And you make beats.
Yeah, and
you
you're
play
like
2K.
You're
you
like,
know what I mean?
That's my future right there. Like it could happen.
And that's the bag. And the thing is that you know you're gonna get royalties off of that too. You
exactly.
know? So yeah, you know. Also, there's just, especially too when you get into the game, you get into publishing, and you get like in the sync licensing and start doing stuff for TV and video games and movies and stuff.
Right.
That's a whole different situation too. You know, that's a whole different field that I kind of feel like the people who are in it, kind of let you will put you up on game, but won't really give you the necessary steps to kind of like
to get there,
exploit it properly because they want to keep it all to themselves.
Right.
Not.
I mean, in some ways, it's kind of like now that producing is a lot more easier. But like, if you would have said certain things, or you would see 10 years ago, like producers wouldn't give up
no chance
their secrets at all, like what the sauce is.
Yeah,
and
it's completely different now.
Yeah, because now it's like everything's out there, and a lot of producers are being like, "Yo, the way for the future is to teach what we do know,
right?
Not keep it fucking hidden,
right?"
But like, you know, it's hard to say. It's hard to like preach something like, yeah, I'll help you out. I'm gonna bring you in the industry and teach you about it. But actually, I ain't gonna teach you anything.
Right.
You know, so it's like I think that's absolutely true. Especially once you get into like fucking, oh my god, like big companies like that. When you're dealing with media, you're dealing with video games, you're dealing with, you know, big companies that have like money invested in them and, you know, different secrets to the sauce and whatnot.
Yeah, man.
But I mean, besides that, I remember, bro, like playing. When was recording shit on the karaoke machine, we were playing fucking MTV Music Generator for PlayStation.
Word, fire.
That one was like the first video game you could make beats on and shit. So I remember we hooked that up straight to the auxiliary into the fucking karaoke machine and then just rap on the karaoke mic.
Word.
To the beats that we just made that were like, you know, presets on the fucking video game.
Yeah.
But that was fun. That was big. Parappa the Rapper came out, which made like, you know, rapping universal on every different levels, like the animated fucking game. I think it came out in fucking 1996. And bro, I didn't know Super Nintendo, talking about Biggie shit, came out with Rap Jam. Did you ever hear of that?
Nah, it was Rap Jam.
Bro, I guess it's pretty dope. Like it was like set up to be like, you know, like the NBA, you know, like 2K1 type of game. Like
I know NBA Jam.
It was like NBA Jam basically, but you could be like Coolio. You could be.
Oh,
you know,
so it's
the
like pickup
Wu-Tang
ball with rappers.
Yes, and it was only rappers playing it.
Gotcha.
And they had the soundtrack was all to that. So that was like, I wish I had that game back in the day. I wish I even knew about it.
We need to find this game. I'm
Bro,
gonna get the ROM or something.
It was for Super Nintendo. Came out in '95. Fucking super, super dope.
Yeah.
Then in 1999, Wu-Tang came out with Shaolin style.
Right.
Which I never played either,
Mhm.
but apparently you just go through the fucking game fighting in Shaolin ways
Mhm.
through 36 chambers, basically, aka 36 different levels.
Right, which is dope.
Which is super dope. So I was like, yo, that's cool. Like, they're incorporating, you know, a lot of places, you know, a lot of games will use music from hip-hop, but they actually have, like, the characters, everything kind of evolving around it and kind of, you know, making a game out of the culture of it was kind of different and, you know, I wouldn't say risque at the time, but it was definitely popular, you know?
No, yeah, I mean, I would say, you could say it was, you know, they took a chance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because who knows if this game is going to sell? You know what I mean? Like, Wu-Tang was probably at its pinnacle back then.
Right. They did everything.
It was at the so if a time to do it was ever, it would have been then.
Yeah.
But they definitely took a risk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So-
I think it's crazy, man.
Yo, what's the deal with them bars?
Let's talk about the battles, man. You know me, I'm a huge fan of battle rap culture.
Right.
And, you know, with the whole, you know, lockdown and pandemic situation, a lot of stuff, you know, in the game has kind of been pushed back. Things have been shelved, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, so what they doing in the battle rap
So,
scene?
you know, everything is moving to online, right? People doing Zoom calls. We've done Zoom shows. You know, they've tried that with restrictions kind of, you know, letting up. They can do smaller room battles. And, you know, historically, right, if you do a battle in a quote unquote small room, it's supposed to be more lyrical, right? And then in the small room, you're with all your peers, right? So it's like you're with other battlers, other battle rap media people who would like catch all the bars. So it's supposed to be like a much more intimate setting. They're doing tournament, like a March Madness style tournament, which is it's over now. The two winners are Jay the Nightwing and Fonz, two crazy spitters, and they're going on Gnome in July, which is a you know, probably the marquee URL event. You know what I'm saying? It's probably one of the biggest events they do of the year. And then the two winners from the Ultimate Madness get to go battle on Gnome, which is a main stage. It's a huge look. But the benefit of battle rap is, you know, you can have the rappers, you know, compete on stage, film it and stream it, right, and we all watch from home. You know what I'm saying?
As opposed to everybody going out to the battle, creating that whole scene there.
Right. And it's a little bit different too. Like if you're an artist, like it's kind of hard. Like I've seen, like if you have Tidal, you can stream concerts, right? Like, so it wouldn't be the first time like I've streamed like a musical show, right? But it's not the same. Like even with the battlers, they have to compensate for not having a crowd, you know, to react to their certain bars, whatever the case may be.
Because that's a huge element of what the battle is you
it's the crowd participation,
exactly.
call and response. You know, you got a crazy punchline, you got a haymaker, everybody goes crazy, they pull your shirt, you know. But I do think that battle rap was able to adapt and still push the culture forward. And that's what I'm really excited about right now. You know what I'm saying? Is seeing what URL is doing, what a lot of other leagues are kind of following URL's template with how they are, how they're putting out new material. And I think it's the, you know, even though, you know, we're not getting a lot of music, you know, we can still get our fix, you know, in the culture, you know, with the battle rap shit, just because, you know, these guys are still working, they're still putting out quality content.
Right, you can't kill battle rap right now. Like,
no matter what, like we're gonna find a way to eat. You know what I mean? And then like this technology that they have just so happened to come at the right time. And it's a growing process, man. Like I've been with them in the beginning when they were streaming stuff, and the streams were shitty. Like it was terrible.
Yeah.
People in the comments like, yo, like if I paid for this, I want my money back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But they were free at that point.
But they're still free.
Right. Okay.
Well, let me take that back. Some of them now are free. You know what I mean? They have like a partnership with Caffeine, which is a streaming platform.
Okay.
You know, the partner with Drake. So they're getting paid they're getting the bag some kind of way. But it's nice that they can offer it to the fans for free. And then we can enjoy it. And then they also have pay-per-view battles. You know what I mean?
Right.
So but I think now they're just trying to catch the biggest audience that they can, because everybody's at home, everybody's tuned in. You know what I'm saying? And it's just great to watch these dudes compete, and just every week it gives me something to look forward to. You know what I'm saying?
So the finals for this round are coming up in July.
It comes July 11th. So the two guys, Jay the Nightwing and Fonz, they're the opening battle for Gnome 10. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Gnome 10.
Yeah, right. And then like RBE, they're kind of doing like, they're doing a cool format, right?
Okay.
Where it's like, all right, you're gonna battle so and so, right? So you put your footage together however you like it. He's gonna put his footage together.
Okay.
So it's gotten to the point now where it's like, okay, are your bars better? But how much time did you put into your production?
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting, yeah.
So it's really dope, because
like
it's
creatively, how can you tell your story besides just your fucking your rhymes and your bars?
And then there's been 2-on-2 battles, right? You know what I'm saying? There's been like, there was one with like Street Hymns versus Murder Mook, right? And like Street Hymns like rented a studio and kind of went crazy.
My homie T called me yesterday. He's a peacekeeper. Right now he's in a low-down spot. Because you can never trust a peacekeeper if you don't personally know that cop.
And then Murder Mook is just like somewhere in New York just barking.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My whipping old school. I'm from where you couldn't afford to dodge no challenges. Now let's see y'all calibers. But look, when it's this, that's when they get on their Caitlyn Jenner shit. That mean they agenda switch. Them niggas bitch. They acting like estrogen on a car that's gonna bless them with extra benefits.
I tell Street Hymns kinda did a little bit better job of like directing it and things like that, but Murder Mook just ate him. You know what I mean? Just went crazy. You know, just talking to the brother like he hadn't been talked to before. I feel like it was, that was a little. I feel like Mook against Street Hymns was kind of unfair, just because I don't think Street Hymns was ready for somebody like Murder Mook. Like Mook is like the GOAT, bro. Like,
yeah.
Like the best in the game. There's a couple of them. There was this guy J400. I forget who he went against, because that's how bad he killed him. But he probably had the best footage that I've seen coming from RBE in their quarantine style battals. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And it's just cool to watch dudes get creative and mix it up and, you know, see what they come up with. And I think I'm almost positive that like after you know, lockdown is done and we can all get back in the venues and things like that, they're going to continue doing this because it's entertainment. You know what I mean? Like, you can watch it on your phone. You can watch it on the go. It's quick. It's easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, the battlers get a quick little bag to kind of help them, whatever, with what they're doing. So, I think the battle rap community, man, is really growing. And
growing for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and keeping strong. We see there's, like, a lot of new talent out, too. Like, this kid, Real Sick, he's Indian, bro.
Okay.
He's Indian, and I guess his religion is Sikhism, right?
Right.
And he wears like a head wrap and everything. He's like this brolic dude from Newark, New Jersey. And let me tell you, he is snapping. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the name just sounds like, yo, he's Indian, Real Sick. Like, that's pretty.
No, he's snapping. Yeah. Like, let me tell you, like, this kid is nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got like, he's from Jersey, so he's got that Jersey energy. He's got bars. He's hungry. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, just tune in, man. Come watch with me. Come hang out. You know, enjoy yourself.
July 11th, yeah, man, that sounds dope.
July 11th, and then after that, the next tournament starts. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff with other leagues, you know what I mean, that's going on too, and people are just trying to, you know, get content out there people can watch. So there's a lot of stuff going on, man. A lot of people cooking out there, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, another big one, though, Daylight versus Tay-Rock.
Oh, shit, Daylight, okay.
You know Daylight, right?
Yeah.
Bro, I'm telling you, that one's about to be crazy.
Oh, shit.
I'm telling you, Daylight is about to be bananas.
This is coming up too. Is this?
This is July 11th.
Okay.
He did a freestyle on LA Leakers like a week ago, or I don't know if it was a week ago, but I saw it a week ago. And he just went off.
Oh shit!
He just went crazy, just like straight stream of conscious. Like, I was like, bro, like you could tell he's like he stepped away from battle rap for whatever reason, but you can tell he's like,
it was a good reason.
You can tell when he comes back, he's gonna live up to his name. Because sometimes these guys with big names, they kind of like shit the bed when it like when the hype is built up. I think this one is gonna live up to the hype. For sure. Yeah, I'm excited.
Damn.
I'm excited.
Okay. I'm gonna have to lock that in on the 11th.
Yeah.
Yo. Yeah, that's why I love battle rap, bro, because I feel like it is exciting, and I depend on you for like the plug, because I don't get into it as much as I would like to, but fucking when I do watch it, I'm like, yo, wait, let me pause this, rewind it, like even a couple seconds, because I'm just like, there's no way that's crazy,
man. And let me tell you, in some stuff, like I gotta like watch it back myself, and then like even like the media people who are into it, like the way they break it down, and like you can almost assign like a point system,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
And like grade these guys and kind of go back and forth with all 3 rounds. You know what I mean? And kind of like compare. It's like watching a good boxing match.
Right. Exactly.
That's like the best equivalent. Like who used what techniques better, who exposed somebody better. You know what I'm saying? You had a couple stumbles, but you caught yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like you had no stumbles, but you also had no haymakers too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like
everything. Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, man. I really enjoy it. You know, even before this, you know what I'm saying. But I think now it's definitely people are starting to catch on, because
I think so, bro.
Yeah,
I think it'll only grow
time.
too. It'll only grow for like newer fans and newer talent that's coming out.
Yeah.
Because hopefully, maybe they'll go to like a new model where it's like, yeah, we continue the streaming and the creativity like that you said they do on RBE.
Right. Where
it's like, oh yeah, we can have the people that are battling like be able to like film their own shit, get their own directors, their own crew.
Right.
And then when shit goes back to normal, you're also gonna have the regular shows because that's part of it. So hopefully both of those will still exist.
Which I think is great. I would
Absolutely.
It's kind of like hold you over into the in between, right?
Right.
Like, okay, like we're not having the event for a couple months, but hey, here's a couple, quarantine style battles to kind of hold you over. You know what I'm saying? And bro, I'm happy with that. That sounds good to me.
But talking about new music videos, the Baby and Roddy Ricch, they put out that. Did you see the new one, the Rockstar?
I did, man. I do. I fuck with Roddy OD, man.
Nice.
Roddy, he's gonna be a while. He's gonna be around for a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that kid. Not only can he rap, he's talented. He's smart.
Yeah.
He knows his worth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like the only way to. I mean, there's no real like. I mean, there are mentorships in the game. You're lucky if you find someone who's good, but a lot of it is just learned through observation, and you can tell that like he's spent his time on the sidelines, breaking the game down.
Right.
And now he's got the ball. You know what I'm saying? And you know what he's about to do with it. So I'm just excited to keep seeing Roddy doing his thing. And the Baby, he's the hottest thing smoking right now. You know what I mean?
Right, so he's gonna be on everything.
He's doing, you know what I mean? Like the Baby's he's making his run right now. You know what I'm saying? He's cleaning up with everything. So, shout out to those two guys.
Definitely shout out.
Just watch the news, they burning cop cars, kill another nigga, break the law and call us outlaws. What happened? The rebound in is robbing for me one time. You can't cross me again. 1,200 horsepower.
And I think with the times and everything that's going on now, in our neighborhood right now, we've got fireworks going off. BLM is full effect and swing. Everybody's
shout out,
protests, everything. So we're supporting everything we can. So a lot of these videos that we're talking about, like the Rockstar, Ponce came out with a video called 1967. So
they don't want us on the knees when my people dead. Not getting money, you not capping, they won't get ahead. They want my hands behind my back as if I'm George Floyd.
The one record that I saw you mentioned was the Anderson .Paak record, Lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
That record spoke to me. It kind of
I did, because I feel like it wasn't too much geared towards also the protesting and kind of that. It was kind of before that, but it kind of incorporated both those things. So it was like Black Lives Matter, and I feel like being on lockdown for coronavirus and finding this creative thing in between where it's like it was very metaphorical.
Right. And one thing I like about the song, because after my first couple of listens, I was like, this is a kind of like of what's our version of What's Going On by Marvin.
Right.
It's a good song, but I'm not being preached to. You know what I'm saying? It's not preachy.
No.
And like there's a lot of like records that have come out lately that are like very positively driven, but they can get a little preachy. We want to keep it musical. We want to keep it we want to keep the vibe loose and good. And I think he did a great job lyrically of breaking down how we all feel, especially as a black man living in this country,
right?
Or even as a multiracial, individual with Anderson, and then just kept it funky. He really didn't deviate too far from his style.
No, it's definitely typical style. Yeah.
So I thought he did a really great. I mean, it's one of my favorite ones, and then like this Lockdown is just a cool title, cool name.
Yeah,
it kind of really encompasses all the emotions that we're going through right now. And I think he killed that record.
Downtown, the people are rising. We thought it was a lockdown. They opened the fire. Them bullets was flying. Who said it was a lockdown? Goddamn lie.
Turn on YouTube, dog. Look how they do us. Knee on our necks, bullets and backs.
Humble from a way back, with Kendrick Lamar.
Totally.
Technology. A lot of new camera tricks were like put into that because I definitely like film, and I know you do too.
Yeah.
Like there's a part we'll show with a robotic camera.
Hey, this shit way too crazy. Hey, you do not amaze me. Hey, I blew cool from ACA. Obama just page me. Hey, I don't fabricate it. Hey, most of y'all be faking. Hey, I stay modest about it. Hey,
it's actually a Nikon-owned kind of robotic motion control video that you can rent, which is like upwards to like $170,000 to rent for us.
Just everything that TDE does is high quality. It's like boutique rap, like you know what I mean? Like everything they do, no matter what, it's going to be high quality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? From their videos to their projects to their clothes to their merch to their shows, and that's what one thing you can definitely expect from that label and that collective is just quality.
Just quality with everything.
100%. Whether it's SZA or Rashad or Zakari, whatever it is, it's going to be quality. You know what I'm saying?
With the Humble one, I just loved it because it was like they used a whole bunch of camera tricks that were pretty new at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're making it flawless. And when I see it back now, and I'm like, dude, still just such a great video. Like the everything from the way it's colored to the way it's edited to the shots they do it to the styles to the way they transition, like everything. Like you said, like.
Piss out your per diem, you just gotta hate them. Sit down. Who that nigga thinking that he?
Also, like talking about old school producers, Alchemist, Freddie Gibbs,
Fire.
They just dropped I don't know if they just dropped it, but the 1985 video is pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, the video.
It's just it's basically Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist in the field, and Freddie Gibbs is like he's rapping in the middle of like I don't know fucking Wyoming or something.
Sometimes that's all you got
he's
now.
Like
you got
you
got an iPhone and a record, and you need a video.
Dude, just do it yourself.
And you just gotta make it happen. You know what I mean?
If you're somebody that's already like Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist, dude, you could shoot a video or whatever. You don't need no fucking
you know what I mean?
editor or whatever.
Sometimes you just gotta make it happen. That's what we're trying to tell these dudes. Like, you don't need the Hollywood crew all the time. Just make it happen.
No, you don't.
Yeah, quarter thing to a whole thing, whole game working. Hear the bitches that extended clip with that revolver shit, it serve the same purpose. Eagles beaming up the Scotty in my crack lobby, I can smell the cane burning. Michael Jordan.
So yeah, even during COVID, new albums dropped.
There's been some stuff I've been listening to that's like some good rap, like definitely some good raps. Like there was a Currency Infused. IDK dropped the project with his people.
Oh, I didn't see
a lot
that.
of different features. But
nothing that jumps out.
Nothing that really moves me that I really wanted to break down and like kind of go in depth to it. You know what I mean? There's been some good music. There's been some new C's, like some singles out there that are cool. But I think a lot of the music that was gonna make an impact is just coming out next year. And a lot of people are cooking, man. Like just because there's no music out doesn't mean it's not there.
I feel like the good music is gonna come out.
I think a lot of people are cooking. A lot of people are waiting for the right time. And just like for us, man, like just with the civil unrest in the country, I think it wasn't the proper time to produce content and entertainment. You know what I'm saying? I think it was, it was okay to kind of fall back. And I think a lot of the people who are of the same, mindset of us felt the same.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's definitely a higher purpose going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like let's wait for the appropriate time.
Yeah, I mean nothing notable of mention that I would dive into, but quick ones that were definitely interesting for me, like we touched on obviously 1985, but Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist
Fire
album Alfredo, Flatbush Zombies, Now More Than Ever. I definitely like them. And talking about 90s R&B, Brian McKnight came out with a new album called Exodus.
Oh, he needs a check, right?
Yeah, he does. So I actually I just dabbled in it. I was like, man, I probably won't listen to the whole thing, but I was like, yo, this sounds like typical baby making Brian McKnight music.
That's if you're over 50 and you're trying to date. That's like what you put on.
Oh, this is absolutely, yeah.
You
If
know
you're
what
on
I mean?
Christian Mingle, listen to this album
That's what
right
you
now.
need right there. That's who that's for right there.
Right, exactly. So, yo, shout outs to Brian McKnight, though, real.
You haven't seen her think roses in bloom. My baby, her beauty is second to none.
Yeah, man, I think that's really it with the fucking new releases. Cause like, it's funny, my girl got me this shirt, so I loved it. The Digital Underground.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Shock G, but I didn't know, and I don't know if you knew, but when they did the Humpty Dump song, Tupac and all that shit, whatever, with Shock G, bro, you remember Kenan and Kel?
Of course.
Kel was like a part of Digital Underground.
I believe it.
Two sides like a Gemini. Hard to tell I'm living life like a private die. You can't get them when they yell about a cry. Why? Go ahead and try to stupefy your brain cells. We get it with it.
I mean, he's known to be a rapper, but more of like a comedic rapper, obviously.
Right.
But no, I did not know he was in the Humpty Dump video, and he's like fucking in his hat doing the dance, and this is around the time of like, I guess right before all that, or maybe around the
That
same
sounds
time.
accurate. I mean, I'm not that surprised by that one.
No,
That
so
one
I had to
makes
revisit
it-
that, and I was like, I was just like, yo, I never knew Kel was really into it like that. Like I didn't, like I knew he loved music.
Right. He was like your pre-stoner before like being a stoner was cool.
Right. Now he's like super Christian.
Oh yeah. Good
Yeah.
for him, man.
Yeah.
That's good.
Kind of like Ja Rule.
Yeah. Yo, did you see that Ja Rule Greek commercial?
for the restaurant.
I was like, this has to be a joke. Like, there's no way.
Nah, dude, I think it was real, bro.
There's
He
no
probably
way
just
this is
blew
real.
the shit up. This Italian place, this old guy, like he's probably like, dude, I'm getting mad business right now. It's not the business I want, but it's probably like, yo.
He's like in sweatpants and his socks, like tossing pita bread. Like
It was so
like
bad,
he's
bro.
Oprah. Like what are you doing?
Yeah, I was like, this is.
I thought
ridiculous.
honestly, I thought it was fake. Like I thought
it was somebody put a bean together. Yeah.
I was like, nah, this can't be real. And it has to be like planned because he can't be that broke.
Right.
Like you know what I mean? Like you can't be that broke. Like
Who
come
knows,
on.
bro? Who knows? Who knows how broke he is? I don't think he knows how broke he is, man. He's like pulling a Wesley Snipes. Like, what? Pay my taxes on what? I can't even pay my taxes.
You can call right now and get it delivered. Poppy Cristos. Ooh, make you want to do the dance. Opa!
You order one sandwich. Bodega BYTES. How much is that? Bodega. Bodega BYTES.